Greetings, Music 805. My name is Erin Marr, and this is my screencast on attribution theory, aka, what are you doing? Attribution theory investigates the perception of causality or the judgment of why a particular agreement occurred. The allocation of responsibility manifestly guides subsequent behavior. Well, that's a lot of words there. So to simplify things, it's attribution is what caused us to do what we did. And also those factors will also help us with what happens after that initial action occurred. But what does it mean? Okay, here's a video we're gonna take a look at a chunk of. I would recommend, if you are interested, looking at it online with the audio. Unfortunately, my version of Screencast claims that it will not record internal audio from my computer, so I will use the animation more than anything on this video. So here they're saying, pretty much there are reasons why people do what they do. On one end, we have the little stick figure guy, and he or she represents internal factors of why you do something, or it's also called dispositional. And on the other end, we have external factors, or situational. Now we have the environment, money, weather. You get the idea. And that's called attribution theory, as we just learned. Explains behaviors around us. Of course, I'm sure all of us have, at one time or another, wondered why somebody did what they did, for better or for worse, especially in the classroom. So from here, I'm going to pause it just because it's harder without the narration. But an example that this video uses is, say you have a flaky friend and you keep asking this friend daily to go see a movie with you, and they keep saying no and coming up with excuses like, oh, I have to wash my hair, I have to change the oil in my car. And so from this consistent internal behavior of turning you down for a movie every day, you can tell that them turning you down is an internal behavior and them being flaky is an internal behavior. The second example this video gives is, say you have a friend named Jim who's pretty much cheery all the time, and Jim orders a pizza, as many of us do. And when he goes to pick up the pizza, the order's wrong, they drop the pizza on the floor, they overcharge him, and Jim gets mad because who wants a floor pizza, right? So these factors causing normally cheerful Jim to be angry about his pizza being dropped and being overcharged and having the wrong order. These are external or situational factors that cause him to be angry. Make sense? Okay, next slide. Maybe. There we go. Attribution theory in the classroom. Students can attribute their success or failure in the classroom to internal, dispositional, or external, situational factors. Found another blog online by another education psychologist taking the attribution theory and adding styles to it. So I'm sure we've all experienced these in our classrooms. So if your attributional style is optimistic, most of the time it'll affect the other students by it. The bias will be towards an internal attributions for positive outcome, aka a student who attributes personal success to intelligence, like, wow, I was able to do my math problem because I knew the material and I'm smart. And then an external optimistic um, is for negative outcomes. So I did not do well on that test because my teacher does not know what they're doing. I was fine. My teacher just can't teach. How many times have you heard that? Pessimistic, bias towards internal attributions for negative outcomes, and external for positive outcomes if you're pessimistic. So a student who attributes personal failure to their lack of ability and success to luck. Wow. I didn't do well on my English paper because I'm just so bad at English. I just don't know anything about To Kill a Mockingbird. Or if they're successful, that they are lucky. Like, wow, I didn't even study for that test and I got 100%. Who'da thunk? And then hostile, bias towards external stable attributions for negative outcomes. So a student who displays aggression when confronted with academic problems, likely to blame others and seek revenge. This is kind of a scary one, but I'm sure we've encountered a student or a person in our lives at one time or another where nothing is their fault and they don't take responsibility for their actions. Like, it's not my fault I got an F on the paper. I've known it was due for weeks, and I didn't start till last night, but then my internet was out, and then my computer wouldn't turn on. And I mean, it's stupid paper anyway. Things like that. I know most of these examples were not music based, but in discussing with students, internal and external factors, we can see these optimistic, pessimistic, and hostile explanations or attributions in our classrooms. So to apply it to the music classroom, what is controlling the success of the group? If it's internal or dispositional factors, it'd be as if Susie and Sam practice their instrument or sing at home because they want the ensemble to perform well and they want to be able to know their music to attribute to the success of the group. Well, Dave and Dolly do not practice because they are not invested in the group and they don't care if the group does well or not. I'm just here because my mom and dad want me to, or this music is stupid. I don't want to try. External situational factors. The band sounded bad at the concert because it was 20 degrees in the auditorium, so the instruments were very out of tune. I mean, we would have sounded better, Mom and Dad, but it was just so darn cold. The choir was missing half of their group because those students have the flu and were unable to perform. Boy, you could really hear all 8 parts of that piece if we weren't missing half of the group. So those are some examples in the music classroom of internal dispositional factors and external situational factors. Discussion questions for our meetup. And I'm really curious as to your responses. Here we go. As teachers, are our students crediting success or failure on the internal factors, external factors, or a combination of both? One of the things I do not enjoy in my classroom is playing the blame game. For example, in May, we had a large group state contest, and my high school band came off stage thinking they did pretty well, and then were so happy about their success until we found out that the judges did not feel the same way. And so they immediately started blaming what is they now considered failure of the band on different parts of the group, and that was pretty upsetting to me as a teacher. Um, which is more important for your classroom, internal attribution or external attribution? Why? What factors are, how do I say this? Uh, are external that could contribute to the success, like is your classroom always set up so that when students come in, they can just sit right down or stand on the risers and get to work? Or is there also environmental factors that may change the way a class goes? Maybe your top player or singer is sick, and so the rest of the students that depend on them are suddenly lost. And oh no, they should know their part anyway. Or internal attribution. What what tools as a teacher are you giving the students to feel like they know what they're doing, or that they are going to be successful, that they're confident in what they're playing or what they're singing? And then, do these internal and external factors excuse certain behaviors? Again, like they said, the blame game. Like, well, I didn't bring my instrument to class today because I forgot it at home. Or, well, why did you forget it at home? Well, because I wasn't thinking, or because uh, my parents had car trouble, so I was going to be late anyway, so I started to walk, that kind of thing. I'm excited to discuss these with you in class. Thanks.